Jennifer, to indicate if you can hear me. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear. Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, awesome. Well, then we'll give it just 5:59, so we'll give it about 1 more minute, and then we will jump in.
Sounds good.
All right, thanks.
Everybody else chicken to join video or what?
I don't know. One person said they didn't want anyone to see their glass of wine. I was like, I actually thought about marketing it that way, but then I didn't know if that was inappropriate or not. I was going to say, I thought it made it more fun to say, grab your device and a glass of wine and just relax with us and learn.
That's
I'm
funny because
not
I've
a
got my
drinker.
wine.
I'm not a drinker, but I'll smoke to your idea.
There you go.
I just want to say
Hi,
hi,
Annie.
Jennifer.
Oh, hi.
I'll go back into incognito wine mode.
Okay, well, as soon as this is done, I will have a glass of wine, but I thought as the presenter, that might be one step too far. Okay, it is 6 o'clock, so we are going to go ahead and get started. I set this so that everyone was muted upon entry, but you can feel free to take yourself off mute at any time. And keep in mind, I can't see all of you. Even if your screens are on, it only lets me see the first 4. So if you do have a question, just speak up and say, hey, Anne. Don't try to raise your hand, or been using the chat can be kind of hard for me because I'm new at this. So seriously, just jump in and ask your question. And because I am new at this, if you have feedback or ideas, see, not do what I wanted.
And if you go up to on your where your videos are, and you up in the upper left-hand corner, there's some boxes.
Oh yeah, do hide thumbnail.
One says open up grid view, and that will bring up everybody.
Okay. The only thing is, if I do that, then
you won't see. Yeah, you won't see your presentation.
Yeah, let's just do this so that you guys can see the screen as well as possible, and just shout it out if you've got a question. And keep in mind, I can't see myself, so if I do something weird, that's why.
Just don't pick your nose.
There you go. Or itch the inside of my ear. I see presenters do that all the time. I'm like, oh, I bet I do that too. Okay, so we're here tonight to learn about scared dogs. So I want to thank Underdog for inviting me to do this, because it is one of my very favorite things to talk about. And when you do rescue work, especially breed dogs from commercial breeders, you end up with a lot of really scared dogs. And the reasons for that is a whole nother webinar, but the short answer is their brains just don't develop right. So I work with a lot of rescues, and it's a lot of scared dogs. So the first thing we're going to talk about is, what does canine fear look like? Does anyone want to jump off mute and shout out something that describe a fearful dog? What does it look like?
Crouching, holding,
Crouching.
walking along the wall, under furniture.
Pacing.
Those are all. What was there? One more?
Panting a lot.
Yep. Okay, so we're going to watch this first video, and this is a very obviously scared dog, and that's why I hired her for this job, because then we can take that and kind of apply it to dogs where the signs might be more subtle, which is usually when people end up getting bit. Let's take a look at this very scared dog. Okay, so we're already seeing the walking along the wall someone mentioned. What else do you see with this girl?
She was looking back.
Yep, that looking around, that vigilance, that who's here is a huge sign. What else?
Posture.
Tail between the legs.
Her posture is back, and that is the biggest thing when it's easy for us to sit here and pick apart a video and see exactly what's going on, but if we're in a real life situation where we're trying to very quickly assess what's going on with the dog, posture is the first thing I look at. Fearful dogs always pull back. That's the whole theme of everything. Their face is pulled back. Their ears are pulled back. Mouths are pulled back. Their fearful dogs want to put space between themselves and the target on every single level, as opposed to a more oppositional aggression where they're going to try to reduce space between themselves and the target, or even an excited dog that just wants to jump on you and say hi. In most cases in life, a dog wants to put less space between themselves and their target. Fear is the opposite. They want more space. Even if they're lunging and aggressing, it's much more of a back and forth trying to push the target out of their space as opposed to a real decisive attack like in a predation situation. So yes, the body back, somebody else mentioned tail was down. She's not afraid of the human, by the way, it's in case the people are watching. It's the door she's afraid of. Oh, okay. Oh, and looking around it. Oh, here's the scary part. And look at that crouch. And now, what do we see here? What clues do we have here? The whale eyes, her facial muscles are going back. If they were going back further, we'd even see the whites of the eyes. But as opposed to in a more offensive aggression, the eyes would be slits because the facial muscles are going forward. The fearful dogs are going back. What else?
Is her tail down? I can't tell from here.
Yeah, I'm sure it is, but no, I can't tell either. I tried to pick a different angle because you can't always see the dog's tail. Yeah, probably.
Against the wall.
Yep, she's against the wall. Someone had mentioned that. Her ears, what is a golden's natural ear carriage? Kind of more button ears, they should be flopping forward so we can tell along with the eyes that her facial muscles are pulling back and the ears are going back. All right, now we're gonna see another crouch that someone mentioned. Uh-oh, the person's getting closer. This is the scary part. Do you see how she crouched down and now how low she is?
Yeah.
Oh, and through the door, and we go. Okay. So we saw a lot of the, hang on. Okay, we saw a lot of the things that people were mentioning there in that scared dog. We're going to see more of her as we go on. What's another way canine fear can look? Besides, we're seeing the crouching, the appease that we saw from the golden. What else might we see in a scared dog?
Taking.
Yep.
Pacing, panting, yawning, licking their nose.
Yep. And then the other thing we can see is sometimes fearful dogs aggress. Even when they're aggressing, their goal is still putting space between themselves and the target. Okay, so on that one, the dog slipped because he was running so fast. He kind of spins around the corner and he slides. So it is a more decisive target than usually they kind of dance around like a boxer. But little fella just lost his footing. But I'll play it again. What did we see there that would tell us that this dog is scared? It's going too fast. Okay, you see, I know this video isn't as clear, but do you see his body carriage? He's still back. If you look, you guys see my cursor? Maybe I'm supposed to.
Yeah.
Okay. Look, his hind end is way down. His back legs are crouched. His whole body is back, even as he's aggressing, as opposed to a forward body that is be trying to control a resource or in a predation situation. This dog is scared. All of his signals are telling us that he is scared. So sometimes fear can be aggressive also. And the dog is in fight or flight. It's going to do one or the other. So we talked about kind of some of the obvious signs, the cowering and the shrinking. What about this dog right here? Should I pet this dog?
No.
No.
Doesn't look too inviting.
No. What are we seeing in this dog? How can we tell this guy is scared?
Posture, ears.
Yep, his posture, even though he's laying down, we can see he would push himself into the floor if he could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep. I mean, this is just the kind of situation where people get bit, you don't recognize the signs, they lean right down, which is intimidating anyway. The dog has nowhere to go, and in its mind, it's clearly communicating that it's scared. The person reaches down and the dog bites them. It all the time. Okay, so besides his body carriage, his posture, even laying down is back, what else can we see?
it looks like he has whale eyes, but you can't see his face. But
We can tell his facial muscles are pulling backward. Same thing with his ears.
His tail
Everything is
kind of tucked, doesn't it? It just looks like he's all like one little snail or something.
And then what about his mouth? He's not showing us teeth. It's not that extreme, but a relaxed dog's mouth is open.
Open. Yeah,
And
you
if
see
his
the tongue a little.
if his facial muscles were relaxed, if I'm assessing a dog, that's the thing I really like to see is that nice slack jaw. His mouth is shut. He's tensing. Okay, you can see it a little bit, but the other thing I look for when I'm trying to quickly assess, again, we could sit here all night and pick pictures apart, but in real life, we've got to be able to look quickly and tell what's going on. The brow, you can't see it as well in here, but you kind of can. The wrinkled brow is another sign that the face muscles are pulling back that way. Tiptoeing, we've talked about that. Somebody mentioned this. They noticed the golden retriever doing it, and we're going to watch again, but I think we are. Yeah. She's got to pee. We just saw her bolt out that door, but she says, I don't know, because you're very vulnerable when you go pee. So she's vigilant. She's watching around, and she's hesitating to do something that we know she has to do. That one gets mistaken a lot and overlooked a lot. The other thing is real hyper fast movements. This is Lily as she's going. Oh, my screen is slowing down, but they'll bolt right out the door. A scared dog, if they have to move, they move very quickly. And that gets mistaken all the time. People are like, oh, he's so excited to go out. Or, yeah, there she goes. I guess I had to hit play. Or in daycare situations, the dog bolts in because they're scared, and the people are like, oh, she just loves it here. And then, boom, the dog gets attacked. Well, because they were acting like prey. They were darting. So fearful dogs, it often can get mistaken as excitement, but they're moving fast because if you're in danger, you don't want to amble along. With aggressive dogs, again, if we're looking at a fear-aggressive situation versus, say, a resource guarding or predation, they kind of dance around like a boxer. They do like a bark, lunge, retreat, bark, retreat, bark, retreat. Oh, and then the other dog comes in to split it up. That other dog does such a good job of trying to soothe his brother. But did you see how the dog really was trying to keep space? He was trying to keep that human that he thought was threatening back out, and he was dancing around and pushing him back. If the dog was resource guarding the room just to control the resource, or if it was more of a, I don't use this word anymore, but a dominance situation, it would have been a stiff head-on attack, pushing straight in. This dog was like looking for an out, but he also didn't want the threat to keep advancing. Fear-aggressive dogs will show you every tooth in their mouth. Again, because all of their facial muscles are going back. If we look at this, I think he's a Malinois maybe here, who I would not personally have used for protection, but that's neither here nor there. He is down. His ears are back. He is crouched. We're seeing every tooth, as opposed to, I think it's a puggle there that's resource guarding the lap. What's his mouth doing? His mouth is going forward. I mean, his eyes are slits, and if this was a moving picture, we would be seeing this Jack Russell backing up. It looks like in the Jack Russell, we can kind of see some whale eyes there. He's showing fear and appeasement, but the resource guarding dog looks very different than fear aggression. He's not at all afraid, except of losing the lap. So those are usually the signs, whether it's aggression or appeasement, that we have, we're dealing with a frightened dog. Guarding thresholds is another one. They don't want the threat to advance. It's like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. Oh my God, he's doing it. A little mini Aussie tried, but the person still wants to go in their living room for whatever reason. Okay, so what do we do about it? Is there any questions so far on how fear can present at all? Anything we've talked about? Okay, then let's talk about what to do and not do about it. Before we get into the exact protocols of what we're going to do, there's some key things we have to think about, and that is fight, flight, and safety, because dogs are weird and they don't think like we do, though we have fight or flight too. So the first thing to think about is fight or flight, and to basically understand how your brain processes fight or flight. I'm gonna put myself back on the screen so I can see myself, but if you think of your hand as the brain model, your arm here in the flat part here is like your brain stem, the back of your neck and the base of your brain, that's your reptile brain. And that regulates things like heart rate, breathing. It's important. If you put your thumb down here, this is your center brain or your amygdala. This is your fight or flight. And if you pull your hands like this is the part of your brain right here behind your forehead, your prefrontal cortex. This is where your executive function lives. Your logic, your reasoning, your learning, your organizing, everything lives up here. Can executive function and fight or flight exist at the same time? No. If we were sitting there on the Serengeti using our sticks to map out a plan to get away from the saber-toothed tigers, the tigers would have eaten us and we just never would have made it as a species. You have to, when there's a threat, your fight or flight has to be able to throw executive function out of the seat and take the wheel. So whether you're human or dog, you cannot learn when you're in fight or flight. We're talking about fearful dogs. What are they by definition in? Fight or flight. What our job is, as we're working with them, is to, they're right here, their lid is flipped. We're working to re-engage that cortex so they can learn and make progress and feel more secure and hopefully not be as dangerous as some of them are. And sometimes this re-engaging the cortex, sometimes we're doing it just with behavior modification. Sometimes there is a medical component as well. As I was preparing this, I kind of regretted not inviting a vet to come with and talk about that part. But we'll do that on a future one. But just so you're aware, sometimes there is medication involved too in getting that cortex engaged, so our dogs can feel safe, they can make progress and learn. Okay, one thing you can do if you have a scared dog or have a scared dog coming is create a safe, human-free zone for that dog. This is different than their crate because the dog always has free access to come and go from this zone. If you're going to confine them in a crate when you leave or for house training or whatever, that's different. This is just a place that is an option for them at all times. Ideally, create it if there's a place the dog naturally retreats to anyway. We want to teach them that retreating is a good bet, so putting it there will help. You can see this kennel doesn't have a door on it. I'm not going to confine anyone in there, but it does give them an extra layer of hiding if they need it. If it's a new dog, you can even feed them in there so they understand that it's their space. And no, I did not accidentally have dirty laundry in the picture. What is your guess? Why is that in there?
Is it something
There's
familiar,
someone-
like a smell?
Yep, if
Or
there's
a
someone
scent?
in the house that the dog does trust, or someone from a previous foster home that they were attached to, if you put something that smells like them in the safe zone, the dog may be more likely to use it because it will give them a sense of security and it may draw them in. If your dog does use the safe zone when it's scared, give them like a frozen Kong or a bully stick or something that they can chew while the danger passes, something that will kind of soothe their nerves and be a reinforcing thing in the safe zone. Also, just make sure there's no outlets or cords in your safe zone because otherwise they'll chew that too. But giving your dog a safe zone that you don't go in, that they are safe in, is you don't all take to it. Some of them will just never do it. For the ones that do, it makes a very dramatic difference. So I think it's always worth giving it a shot. If they don't take to it in a month or so and you don't have any other dogs using it, you can always just take it down. All the space. When we're working with these dogs, people tell you that their dog is biting or aggressing and you say, okay, can you send me a video of what's happening? 9 times out of 10, you launch the video and see a hallway. In tighter spaces, flight is not an option. And remember, we're dealing with a fight or flight situation. Flight isn't an option, they're going to fight, and either way, they're gonna be more in fight or flight in these tight spaces. So when you're thinking of where you're gonna work with this dog, outside is a great idea, in the largest room in your house, if they're comfortable in there, but it's really key, even if you can't give them space, or maybe they need to be on a leash. A leash is confining, but in some cases you're going to need to use it. Us being aware in your mind of where this dog might be feeling confined can be very key to figuring out how to soothe them. And this might be the most important thing if you take nothing else away from tonight. What's happening in this picture?
Someone's putting their
Dog's
fingers in the mouth of the dog.
They
Can you hear me?
are, and that dog is stretching. They're pulling him along. That is a great way to get it. It also, we don't want to teach the dog that it's scary to get treats from us. So people really crave that golden moment when the dog will take the treats from your hand. It's not necessarily a good thing. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it is your golden moment and you've had that breakthrough. But if the dog has been coaxed, a lot of dogs can be coaxed to do things they're scared to do. If it's something they want bad enough, they're still scared. You just taught them that it's scary to take treats from you. It's not cool. So we're going to always, again, because we're working on in the dog's cortex engaged, getting them to feel less afraid, we're always going to work in their comfort zone. Now, if you're thinking, oh, I coax dogs all the time and I didn't mean to, well, everyone does. And even after this seminar, you still are going to sometimes because it's hard to know what will coax a dog out of their comfort zone, but just try not to. And if you have, we'll talk about what to do. The next thing, in the animal kingdom, or at least in the dog world, the lower down you are, the less threatening. The higher up you are, the more threatening. And that unfolding, that going from low to high, is an active threat in and of itself. That's why sometimes if sitting on the couch petting a dog and it seems fine, then you get up and the dog tries to kill you. They are if they were nervous anyway, they're going to interpret that standing up, that rising yourself bigger, as a threatening act. So when we're working with fearful dogs, if you can sit, that's better. If you're comfortable sitting on the floor, that can be good. Just make sure the dog has a lot of space. Otherwise, If you're crouched down, even if you're appeasing and the dog is confined, they still may target you. But assuming that the dog can get away if it wants to, keeping your body lower will help greatly in building that trust. So there's 3 keys when we're going to communicate with a fearful dog. The first one we talked about, keep yourself low. The second one that we're looking at here, if I'm looking straight at you, my shoulders are facing you, in human language, that's good. That's how we do it. If I was giving this webinar facing to the side, and then I asked for feedback, it's probably the first thing that would come up. It's awkward. We humans just don't do it that way. We like the full-on frontal connection. Dogs do not. For them, they like to communicate sideways or backwards, and that face-on confrontation is a threat. If the dog is already feeling scared of you and you face it like this, they think, in their mind, they have sent signals that they're afraid. They don't know that you maybe didn't notice them or something. They see you face them, boom, often the dog will target because in their mind they were communicating, they were scared. So keeping your head back or to the side, turning your head away and averting your eyes. Again, eye contact is polite to humans, but for a dog, it's threatening. And particularly a dog that has communicated it's scared, if you give it eye contact in return, that's dog language for you're going down. The dog may fight back at that point. So this is a video of what it looks like, what we want to be doing. Come on. Okay, so you can see there that I'm crouched down as low as I can safely and reasonably go. Not sitting, partly because I just don't want to sit in the wet street. I also do want to be able to get up and move if I need to. I've got my back to the dog and my eyes, you can see I'm kind of looking more at that house. I'm not looking at the dog or the human, if I can help it. So that is how we want to position ourselves if we're going to be training or working with a scared dog in a situation where the dog can get away or someone can get it away. If you're in a confined space, again, or if the dog's on a leash and someone isn't going to be able to pull it, you maybe don't want to go low or they'll target. But typically it is a good way to send signals to the dog, tell them in their language, I'm not threatening you. I hear what you're saying and I'm not going to challenge you. So knowing all that, we're ready to start the training, or it technically is kind of conditioning. We're counter conditioning them to not feel afraid of the threat, which is usually a person. One of the kind of nice things about fearful dogs is all they really want is space from you. So less training is more. It still can be kind of an all-consuming way of life if you're living with a dog that's scared of you. But compared to like if you have a leash reactive dog and they like, okay, so I want you to take them to Lake of the Isles 3 days a week with a big bag of treats for about an hour. And even as the trainer, even as you're saying that, you're like, oh my God, who's really going to do this? Fearful dogs really don't want you to do anything. So that's a little bit nicer. You take a minute to think. Most humans have one part of the day where they relax, whether it's that you do the crossword and drink your coffee in the mornings, or after you get the kids in bed, you sit on the couch with a glass of wine and scroll your feed through your feeds, or crochet. Most people have at least some point in the day where they have a ritual that's relaxing. You take a minute and think about if you have one or not. It's knitting or crocheting is a common one. That is most likely when your scared dog is going to cautiously approach. Does anyone know why? One of the reasons is because your breathing is rhythmic and relaxed during when you're relaxing, and dogs are very sensitive to breath patterns. So that is telling them that you're not a threat because your breathing is relaxed. Your muscle tension. The other thing, any dog, not even a scared dog, they're all sizing up all the time, is muscle tension. I mean, when you think about it, we spent the first 10 or 15 minutes of this webinar talking about the dog's muscle tension and what it does to their face and their body. That's their language. That's what they're watching for us all the time. You're doing your relaxation ritual, your muscles probably aren't tense. You don't seem too threatening. There's one other big reason the dog will be interested in you at this point. Does anybody know what it is? It is because you are not interested in them. That feels really, really safe to a scared dog. So here's a human. They don't seem threatening at all. They're not even interested in me, so they're probably not doing anything threatening to me. Breath is relaxed. Their muscles are relaxed. This is a good time if I've been curious to come check it out. Now, what should you do when your scared dog cautiously approaches at this time?
Maybe do nothing and just let them sniff you and let them.
Thank you. Yes, do nothing. Mistake people make, they get real excited. They turn around and acknowledge the dog. Then the dog freaks out because they had just worked up their courage and it all went wrong. And then the trainer gets the call and they say, we can't figure it out. It doesn't make any sense. Well, I mean, it does if you're thinking about it from the dog's point of view. You're doing your relaxing and the dog comes, keep doing your relaxing. First of all, you deserve it. That's your time. Secondly, that is what's going to keep drawing the dog in. If you do want to take it one step further during this time, most people do their ritual, whatever it is, in the same place every day, and they're usually not moving. So you can bring with you a little dish of small, soft treats, and without looking up, without stopping your relaxing, you can kind of casually and intermittently toss treats to the dog. Toss it well into their safety zone. Don't coax or bait them closer to you. If it's something like crocheting where you don't have a free hand, don't worry about it. You don't have to do this, but it can just be a way to sort of send a welcoming signal to a dog at a time when you've sort of got their attention and got them coming closer to you. If you're listening to that and thinking, I don't know, in my situation, I think we need to do more, can definitely be the case. I mean, fear is a spectrum like anything, and you'll certainly see dogs all over the place on it, and the reactions are all over the place. And you can use the treat and retreat training method. And if we're doing that, you're going to get a safe distance from the dog. Either if they're outside, maybe they're on leash, like in the video you saw me, or you're in the house just somewhere where the dog can get away from you. We want to be crouched down. Some people sit. You definitely can if you're pretty sure the dog can get away from you, but otherwise crouch so you can move quickly if you have to. Keep your back to the dog, your eyes averted, and we're just going to very gently toss treats into their comfort zone. Most dogs, their comfort bubble, like they're almost like mimes. You can literally see where it ends because they'll plant their feet and kind of pop their head out of it, but they won't go any further. We want to make sure we're not drawing them out of the comfort zone. We're going to toss the treats into their comfort zone. And we aren't just going to toss the treats if the dog advances. That's baiting. That may get them out of their comfort zone, and then they might bite you, which is not the goal. Toss the treats well into the zone, and you can go ahead and toss treats. What we want to see from the dog is like an advanced retreat. Creep up, advance, treat, retreat. We want to see that advanced retreat. If they just keep coming, abort the mission. Something's going wrong at that point. But we want to see that advanced retreat, and it is fine to toss a treat when the dog is retreating. That's good for them to learn that, hey, if I got scared and put some space between myself and the target, that's good. We don't want them aggressing. So don't even worry about doing it only when they come close. Just toss the treats, advance or retreat, and watch to see if the dog is advancing or retreating. as opposed to if they're holding still, then things aren't going how we hope. Over time, and this may not be in one session, the dog's comfort zone will gradually get closer to you. We're not ever drawing them out of it. We're just rewarding and treat and retreating within the comfort zone. And as long as the dog, we're trying our best to keep cortexes more engaged, the comfort zone will gradually get closer and closer to you. But again, usually where this goes wrong is when the dog's comfort zone has gotten pretty close, they'll actually can be baited out. They want the treat. They know the game by now. And they'll reach out and want to take the treat from your hand. The person gets excited and does it. And once the dog has the treat, then they remember that they're super scared and your hand is right there and wow, get bit. So I don't, even when they're touching me, I still toss the treats to the ground or even away a little bit. Like let's reward a retreat at this point. Because it's very, very easy for it to go wrong at that point. Now, here's what it looks like. That other one was just graphics I made. But here I am. This dog, the person told me she wasn't food motivated at all, and I wanted to be sure to get kind of a visible reaction since people watch their webinars on phones. As it turned out, she is food motivated. So she was, I hadn't meant to, but she was getting coaxed out of the comfort zone because I'd brought too good of a treat. But if you watch again, this is what the treat in retreat looks like. I'm down, I'm intermittently tossing. We can see that dog's ears are back, the tail is down, she's doing the tiptoe, definitely afraid. So I'm actually working really hard with my treating to kind of put space between me and her, be sure she's in her comfort zone. How can you tell when a dog has been pulled out of their comfort zone? Usually they kind of are up on the balls of their feet are planted and their nose will go out. At that point, they have hit their limit and it looks kind of like this. Okay, see, stop. Oops, I thought I was pausing it, hang on. Okay, right there, see the feet are planted. Even though she's scared, we're still seeing the scared posturing. Instead of a body back, it's going forward. She's at her limit. She's being coaxed. And it's because the treat is right there in my hand and she thinks she can do it. But we as the people know she is not ready for a step like that yet. That's how you can tell when the dog is at the limit of their comfort zone, is those planted feet and the head, or sometimes the body rocks forward, but the feet won't move. Some of them are really obvious and further away. Some of them it happens kind of fast. So it can take some practice to see what you're looking at. But so oh, not gonna happen, girl. Go over there and get it. Even when I threw it, we could see she still was kind of fear posturing. So she was not ready to come that close. Ending the session. Earlier today, we talked about how low is unthreatening. Higher you get is threatening, why we want to sit instead of stand if we can. And the most threatening is the unfolding, the going from sitting to standing, because that is a threatening act. Now, this is in a little bit of a bind, right? Can't stay crouched down in my neighbor's driveway forever. At some point I have to go home and feed my kids or stretch my legs, but we have just done all of this training trying to condition her that I'm not a threat, and then I stand up. Well, in the dog's mind, you just tricked them. You suckered them in, and really you were planning to threaten them all along. They should have known. So it's really important that the dog does not see you stand up when you're done with your treat and retreat training session. Different trainers will tell you different things about how to do this. I personally just pitch food as far away as I can get it with a gentle toss, and then stand up while the dog isn't looking. If there's someone else in the house that the dog isn't scared of, they can call them away. It doesn't really matter, but do not stand up with the dog right there. First of all, you'll lose major ground and all of the training you just did. And also, dog might bite you. because it's scared and it's right there and you just did something threatening. So this is, oh no, okay. I'm going to show you that again. Okay. She just wants that food. Now, when she's not looking, she probably can see me out of her peripheral vision, but she's more interested in the ham. Anything you can do to redirect them so you don't undo all of your hard work with a with your treat and retreat. Come on, buddy. Okay. Inevitable backslide. This is the hard part, and this is the other time trainers always get the call. You guys all seen this meme on Facebook? Like, enough times you're good, you don't need to see it ever again in your life. Yeah, it goes around a lot, but part of that's because it's true, and never is it truer than when we're talking about fearful dogs. There's a number of reasons for this. For one thing, you can't be in training mode 24/7. You have to walk through your house. You have to stand up. You have to push them past their limits sometimes for their grooming and veterinary care. You just can't set up this ideal world I've just shown you 24/7 until the dog improves. Also, fear and anxiety affect memory and affect cognition. So sometimes their learning just doesn't take the way we would think it should, or they don't remember. And just emotions are complex and brains are complex. So do not get discouraged if you have setbacks. It's actually a good thing. Like I said, I'm way more nervous if we have a fast path to success. Something went wrong. So don't get discouraged. Don't lose heart. It's just how this stuff goes, and you still are ultimately incrementally making progress. Now, the goal was to have the presentation be about 40 minutes. Oh my gosh, it's 6:40. Look at that. Now there is time for any questions that anyone has. So you can feel free to just drop off mute, because I can't see, even with the grid view, I can't see everyone. So just go ahead and drop off mute and shout out your questions.
And I have a quick question about being very animated in facial expressions.
Uh-huh.
My husband, we're working with a newly rescued, we just adopted her, but he tends to be very animated in his facial expressions.
The struggle is real, yeah.
I'm I'm assuming that might be contributing to her. She seems to be a little bit more comfortable with me.
It's part of it. It might be if he's verbal in his facial expressions, he probably, like myself, talks with his hands a lot.
He does.
Yep, and that's actually probably what's feeling more threatening to the dog. They may be picking up his facial muscles, but I doubt it. I think it's probably hand gestures. I know it's hard for me too when I'm working with fearful dogs. And even in that video I showed you with the cattle dog, there's a time where I'm telling the mom something and my hand goes up and you see the dog go back. And so that might be part of it. The other thing is that dogs can smell testosterone. It's, again, just like the muscle tension and the breath patterns. They're always sizing up a threat. Every dog is, even the not fearful ones. So assuming your husband is producing testosterone or has testosterone in him one way or the other,
Yes.
yeah, the dog is probably reacting to that too. And that's just, it's super common. The dog, their whole world has been turned upside down. They're in a new place. They need someone to trust. It's probably going to be the person who doesn't smell like testosterone. Not always. But most typically it is, and if he's an expressive talker on top of it, that's only confirming what the dog was already thinking. So he will get there, but yeah, that is probably it.
One quick follow-up question.
Sure.
Her kind of designated safe zone in our apartment is very near to the corner that he usually sits on at the couch. Would you suggest us swapping so that it's me closer to her safety zone, or do you think that doesn't make a difference?
Is she using the safety zone?
She is. I mean, it's not blocked off or gated, but it is definitely her corner where she retreats to.
If she's using it, I wouldn't mess with anything that isn't convenient for you.
Okay.
But you may want to throw in like an unwashed t-shirt or something that smells like you. The only thing is she may tear it up, so throw in something that you don't care about it if she gets it.
Right. Okay.
Okay, great questions. Yeah, great questions. Other questions? Going once.
I'll ask
Going
one more.
Oh,
Is there any training suggestion for the doorways? We're very afraid of doors, and I've heard that's pretty common.
Yep, you saw that in both of our fearful dog demos, both the mini Aussie and the golden. They responded different ways. In the beginning, with it sounds like the level Pepper is at, you kind of just have to manage it. Will she come away from the doorway if you call her? Or is she not responding to anyone yet?
She sits by the doorway fine. It's when the door is open and she has to go through it.
Yeah, so scary.
It's very scary.
Yeah.
She has been getting better. We live in an apartment, so our hallway, we can open our front door and she just casually walks out that one now.
That's great.
But the elevator doors and the main building doors, she's still quite frightened of.
And unfortunately, that one just takes a little bit of patience. You can try to coax her through, but as we've learned tonight, that may backfire. So you could try it if it works, but I don't know if I'd really recommend it. What I would do is just walk through first. Keep your breath as relaxed as you can, your muscles as casual or as relaxed as they can be. Walk through first and look around. If she sees that nothing jumped on you when you went through the door, she's going to be more likely to go through. So don't cuddle her or baby her. Just say, okay, come on, Pepper. Walk through yourself. And then again, with very relaxed, say, okay, you ready to go, Pepper? And kind of bring her through without, with as little ceremony as you can get away with. But go through first to show her there's nothing on the other side.
And I
Great.
find if you turn your back or side to her, well, after you've crossed through the threshold, that sometimes helps too, in my experience.
Right. Yep. Absolutely. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sounds like you're doing a fantastic job. Okay. Other questions?
I have a question
Sure.
about a fearful dog that's not showing aggression, but she's
Okay.
afraid to walk on wood floors or any other type of flooring besides carpet. And we've had her for like 2 years and we're still not over it. Is there a way to get her over that, or should we just buy more rugs?
Has she improved at all? Has it gotten better in 2 years?
No, because we just keep her on the carpet and then we carry her outside so she doesn't have to go on the floor.
Okay. A couple of different things. Usually it's the glare and or the slip that are throwing the dog off. If they can feel insecure on that slippery surface, especially if they weren't socialized to it as puppies, or sometimes the glare on the floor bothers them. So you could try doing it with lower light and messing with the lighting if you haven't already. And then I would do just a version of the treat and retreat, same principle of not coaxing, but just gently at the edge setting some treats that she can get and see if you can start coaxing her to walk across it. But I will tell you 99% of the people just buy more rugs.
Okay. Yeah, because we've tried putting treats like on the edge of the floor and she'll take it if it's like 2 inches from her.
Yeah.
Otherwise she will not go.
Yeah, I would just
And
do the
she's
rugs
old
on.
too. She's like 10.
Oh yeah. If it's an option, I would just give her the rugs and not even try.
Okay.
That's the trainer answer for you. Don't try.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Other questions?
Well, I guess I have another one too.
Sure. Okay.
And our dog, we love her to death and we just want her to be happy, but we feel like she just shakes a lot and we have her on some anxiety medicine. Is there any way to like help her with this? She's just afraid of everything, like afraid of.
And she's 10. Well, the shaking may be I don't know this. You'd have to talk to a vet, but the shaking may be a side effect of the medication. So you may want to ask your vet if that's just a normal side effect.
Well, she did it before the medication too.
She did. Okay, so it isn't that. Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of hard to answer without seeing a video and seeing like bigger picture what's happening. But how about if I catch up with you offline? If you look right here, this is our website and our credentials. If you just shoot me a quick note or text, I'm gonna get it off so you can see the phone number. Oops, hang on. Look at me, technology failing away. And now my mouse pad doesn't work. Okay, it's if you just shoot me a text. Oh, I don't have my number on here anyway. At 612-770-2520. Or email through the call of the canine handle. I can talk to you more about it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Okay, other questions? Okay. All right. Well, in that case, that is all we have for tonight. The recording of this will be available on YouTube. We'll put that out. So if you want to see part of it again, or you know someone that missed it, we will have it. Otherwise, you know where to get a hold of me, but have a great night.
Thanks, Ann.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ann.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ann.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was nice.